Hi. 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 We are live. We have candles, but we're gonna play. I don't know. You guys are here with me on Wednesdays. You know what Wednesdays are like. Hi. I'm so happy. I am just so happy tonight. All things considered, life is very good. Very, very good. And you guys are a huge part of that. And I know I tell you every week, and I know I say that I tell you every week, but you guys are just everything. This has been just the highlight of my year. I mean, you guys getting together. Um, how you doing? I'm doing good. Um, I just can't quit grinning. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's probably really annoying. Hey, baby doll. Oh, look at everybody saying hey to each other in the chat. Oh, my sister's here. Okay, I gotta quit looking over there because you guys are right there. But you're right there. You're right there. Um, yeah, sorry. I saw something on Facebook that has me really, really excited. Um, but it's gonna be a surprise. So yeah, I don't know. I might be able to do something really cool for my son, and I'm just jazzed about it. So, yeah. Anyway, it's Wednesday. Hello. We are here every Wednesday at 7:30, and we are live. So, if you want to enjoy the rambly at the beginning of this, because I tend to ramble, join us live. If you would prefer to skip to our stories, you can absolutely do that when you watch it back later. And yeah, just watch for me to actually pull the story out, and then you'll know that we're starting. Um, we are still working on Nathaniel Hawthorne, and we will continue to do so. But around Christmas, we need to have a conversation because we are not at 100 subscribers yet. So you're going to have to hear me pick again because I need the 100th subscriber to pick a story for us. Oh, Mindy is here. Mindy is great. Yeah, she has quite a story. So look her up later. Grab her right there and look her up later. She's an amazing author. She has a story to tell. So, yeah, check her out. You're welcome. Also, if you are new to the channel, new to our Wednesday nights, yes, I do interact with you in the chat. So please, please, please say hello. Yeah, because I obviously get distracted by your guys' chats, but I love it. Um, so tonight's story is called Wakefield. I did cheat. Hello. I did do a bit of a cheat because I was really struggling with not pronunciation this time, not like in our Irish fairy tales, but with being able to see the words in the book. So I printed it off large print. Hopefully this will make this better for all of us. So I hope you have a drink. If you're watching this back later and you do not pause this now, go get your drink, come back, we'll tell a story. I have 2 drinks, so hopefully we are good. All kinds of people say hello. I just love it. There are 14 people watching. So please, please, please say hey so I can say hey back. And so the chat can say hello to you. So tonight's story, Wakefield. In some old magazine or newspaper, I recollect a story, told as truth, of a man, let's call him Wakefield, who absented himself for a long time from his wife. The fact, thus abstractedly stated, is not very uncommon, nor, without a proper distinction of circumstances, to be condemned either as naughty or nonsensical. Howbeit this, though far from the most aggravated, is perhaps the strangest instance on record of marital delinquency, and moreover as remarkable a freak as may be found in the whole list of human oddities. The wedded couple lived in London. The man, under pretense of going on a journey, took lodgings in the next street to his own house, and there, unheard by his wife or friends, and without the shadow of a reason for such self banishment, dwelt upward of 20 years. During that period, he beheld his home every day, and frequently the forlorn Mrs. Wakefield. And after so great a gap in his matrimonial felicity, when his death was reckoned certain, his estate settled, his name dismissed from memory, and his wife long, long ago resigned to her autumnal widowhood, he entered the door one evening quietly as from a day's absence, and became a loving spouse till death. Hmm. So he left, moved a street over, watched his wife grieve him for 20 years, and then just walked back in? Okay. Let's go. This outline is all that I remember. But the incident, though of the purest originality, unexampled, and probably never to be repeated, is one, I think, which appeals to the general sympathies of mankind. We know, each for himself, that none of us would perpetrate such a folly, yet feel as if some other might. To my own contemplations, at least, it has often recurred, always exciting wonder, but with a sense that the story must be true, and a conception of its hero's character. Whenever any subject so forcibly affects the mind, time is well spent in thinking of it. If the reader choose, let him do his own meditation. Or, if he prefer to ramble with me through the 20 years of Wakefield's vagary, I bid him welcome, trusting that there will be a pervading spirit and a moral, even should we fail to find them, done up neatly and condensed into the final sentence. Thought has always its efficacy, and every striking incident its moral. What sort of a man was Wakefield? We are free to shape out our own idea and call it by its name. He was now in the meridian of life. His matrimonial affections, never violent, were sobered into a calm, habitual sentiment. Of all husbands, he was likely to be the most constant, because a certain sluggishness would keep his heart at rest wherever it might be placed. He was intellectual, but not actively so. His mind occupied itself in long and lazy musings that tended to no purpose or had any vigor to attain it. His thoughts were seldom so energetic as to seize hold of words. Imagination, in the proper meaning of the term, made no part of Wakefield's gifts. With a cold but not depraved nor wandering heart, and a mind never feverish with riotous thoughts nor perplexed with originality, who could have anticipated that our friend would entitle himself to a foremost place among the doers of eccentric deeds? Had his acquaintances been asked who was the man in London, the surest to perform nothing today which should be remembered on the morrow, they would have thought of Wakefield. Only the wife of his bosom might have hesitated. She, without having analyzed his character, was partly aware of a quiet selfishness that had rusted into his inactive mind, of a peculiar sort of vanity, the most uneasy attribute about him, of a disposition to craft which had seldom produced more positive effects than the keeping of petty secrets hardly worth revealing. And lastly, of what she called a little strangeness sometimes in the good man. This latter quality is indefinable and perhaps non-existent. Let us now imagine Wakefield bidding adieu to his wife. It is the dusk of an October evening. His equipment is a drab greatcoat, a hat covered with an oilcloth, top boots, an umbrella in one hand, and a small suitcase in the other. He has informed Mrs. Wakefield that he is to take the night coach into the country. She would fain inquire the length of his journey, its object, and the probable time of his return, but, indulgent to the harmless love of mystery, interrogates him only by a look. He tells her not to expect him positively by the return coach, nor to be alarmed should he tarry 3 or 4 days, but, at all events, to look for him at supper on Friday evening. Wakefield himself, be it considered, has no suspicion of what is before him. He holds out his hand, she gives her own and meets his parting kiss in the matter-of-course way of a 10 years' matrimony, and forth goes the middle-aged Mr. Wakefield, almost resolved to perplex his good lady by a whole week's absence. That is not a nice trick. After the door has closed behind him, she perceives it thrust partly open and a vision of her husband's face through the aperture, smiling on her, and gone in a moment. For the time, this little incident is dismissed without a thought. But long afterward, when she had been more years a widow than a wife, that smile recurs and flickers across all her reminiscences of Wakefield's visage. In her many musings, she surrounds the original smile with a multitude of fantasies which make it strange and awful. As, for instance, if she imagines him in a coffin, that parting look is frozen on his pale features. Or if she dreams of him in heaven, still his blessed spirit wears a quiet and crafty smile. Yet for its sake, when all others have given him up for dead, she sometimes doubts whether she is a widow. That would be hard. But our business is with the husband. We must hurry after him along the streets ere he lose his individuality and melt into the great mass of London life. It would be vain searching for him there. Let us follow close at his heels, therefore, until, after several superfluous turns and doublings, we find him comfortably established by the fireside of a small apartment previously bespoken. He is in the next street to his own, and at his journey's end. He can scarcely trust his good fortune in having got thither unperceived, recollecting that at one time he was delayed by the throng in the very focus of a lighted lantern, and again there were footsteps that seemed to tread behind his own, distinct from the multitudinous tramp around him, and anon he heard a voice shouting afar, and fancied that it had called his name. Doubtless a dozen busybodies had been watching him and told his wife the whole affair. Poor Wakefield! Little knowest thou thine own insignificance in this great world. No mortal eye but mine has traced thee. Go quietly to thy bed, foolish man, and on the morrow, if thou wilt be wise, get thee home to good Mrs. Wakefield and tell her the truth. Remove not thyself even for a little week from thy place in her chaste bosom. Were she for a single moment to deem thee dead or lost or lastingly divided from her, thou wouldst be woefully conscious of a change in thy true wife forever after. It is perilous to make a chasm in human affections, not that they gape so long and wide, but so quickly close again. Almost repenting of his frolic, or whatever it may be termed, Wakefield lies down betimes, and starting from his first nap, spreads forth his arms into the wide and solitary waste of the unaccustomed bed. No, thinks he, gathering the bedclothes about him, I will not sleep alone another night. In the morning he rises earlier than usual, and sets himself to consider what he really means to do. Such are his loose and rambling modes of thought that he has taken this very singular step with the consciousness of a purpose, indeed, but without being able to define it sufficiently for his own contemplation. The vagueness of the project and the convulsive effort with which he plunges into the execution of it are equally characteristic of a feeble-minded man. Wakefield sifts his ideas, however, as minutely as he may, and finds himself curious to know the progress of matters at home, how his exemplary wife will endure her widowhood of a week, and briefly, how the little sphere of creatures and circumstances in which he was a central object will be affected by his removal. A morbid vanity, therefore, lies nearest the bottom of the affair. But how is he to attain his ends? Not certainly by keeping close in this comfortable lodging where, though he slept and awoke in the next street to his home, he is as effectually abroad as if the stagecoach had been whirling him away all night. Yet, should he reappear, the whole project is knocked in the head. His poor brains being hopelessly puzzled with this dilemma, he at length ventures out, partly resolving to cross the head of the street and send one hasty glance toward his forsaken domicile. Habit, for he is a man of habits, takes him by the hand and guides him, wholly unaware, to his own door, where, just at the critical moment, he is aroused by the scraping of his foot upon the step. Wakefield, whither are you going? At that instant, his fate was turning on the pivot. Little dreaming of the doom to which his first backward step devotes him, he hurries away, breathless with agitation hitherto unfelt, and hardly dares turn his head at the distant corner. Can it be that nobody caught sight of him? Will not the whole household, the decent Mrs. Wakefield, the smart maid servant, and the dirty little footboy, raise a hue and cry through London streets in pursuit of their fugitive lord and master? Wonderful escape! He gathers courage to pause and look homeward, but is perplexed with a sense of change about the familiar edifice, such as affects us all when, after a separation of months or years, we again see some hill or lake or work of art with which we were friends of old. In ordinary cases, this indescribable impression is caused by the comparison and contrast between our imperfect reminiscences and the reality. In Wakefield, the magic of a single night has wrought a similar transformation, because in that brief period, a great moral change has been effected. But this is a secret from himself. Before leaving the spot, he catches a far and momentary glimpse of his wife passing athwart the front window with her face turned toward the head of the street. The crafty nincompoop takes to his heels, scared with the idea that among 1,000 such atoms of mortality, her eye must have detected him. Right glad is his heart, though his brain be somewhat dizzy, when he finds himself by the coal fire of his lodgings. Huh. Well, what do you guys think so far? Crafty nincompoop. That's right. So much for the commencement of this long wimwam. After the initial conception and the stirring up of the man's sluggish temperament to put it in practice, the whole matter evolves itself in a natural train. We may suppose him, as the result of deep deliberation, buying a new wig of reddish hair and selecting sundry garments, in a fashion unlike his customary suit of brown, from a Jew's old clothes bag. It is accomplished. Wakefield is another man. The new system being now established, a retrograde movement to the old would be almost as difficult as the step that placed him in his unparalleled position. It's possible, but if he is lord of the manor, then he should just be able to find peace and quiet. Heavy listening. Furthermore, he is rendered obstinate by a sulkiness occasionally incident to his temper, and brought on at present by the inadequate sensation which he conceives to have been produced in the bosom of Mrs. Wakefield. He will not go back until she be frightened half to death. Well, twice or thrice she passed before his sight, each time with a heavier step, a paler cheek, and more anxious brow. And in the third week of his non appearance, he detects a portent of evil entering the house in the guise of an apothecary. Next day, the knocker is muffled. Toward nightfall comes the chariot of a physician and deposits its big wigged and solemn burden at Wakefield's door. Once after a quarter of an hour's visit, he emerges, perchance the herald of a funeral. Dear woman, will she die? By this time, Wakefield is excited to something like energy of feeling, but still lingers away from his wife's bedside, pleading with a conscience that she must not be disturbed at such a juncture. If aught else restrains him, he does not know it. In the course of a few weeks, she gradually recovers. The crisis is over. Her heart is sad, perhaps, but quiet. And let him return soon or late, it will never be feverish for him again. I'm sad. Such ideas glimmer through the mist of Wakefield's mind and render him indistinctly conscious that an almost impassable gulf divides his hired apartment from his former home. It is but in the next street, he says sometimes. Fool, it is in another world. Hitherto, he has put off his return from one particular day to another. Henceforward, he leaves the precise time undetermined. Not tomorrow. Probably next week. Pretty soon. Poor man. The dead have nearly as much chance of revisiting their earthly homes as the self-banished Wakefield. That's cool, Heidi. We just want you to show up to the party. You're here. Yay. Would that I had a folio to write instead of an article of a dozen pages. That I might exemplify how an influence beyond our control lays its strong hand on every deed which we do and weaves its consequences into an iron tissue of necessity. Wakefield is spellbound. We must leave him for 10 years or so to haunt around his house without once crossing the threshold, and to be faithful to his wife with all the affection of which his heart is capable, while he is slowly fading out of hers. Long since, it must be remarked, he has lost the perception of singularity in his conduct. Well, yeah. Grabbing your wine, that's right. Now for a scene. Amid the throng of a London street, we distinguish a man, now waxing elderly, with few characteristics to attract careless observers, yet bearing in his whole aspect the handwriting of no common fate for such as have the skill to read it. He is meager. His low and narrow forehead is deeply wrinkled. His eyes, small and lusterless, sometimes wander apprehensively about him, but oftener seem to look inward. He bends his head and moves with an indescribable obliquity of gait, as if unwilling to display his full front to the world. Watch him long enough to see what we have described, and you will allow that circumstances, which often produce remarkable men from nature's ordinary handiwork, have produced one such here. Next, leaving him to sidle along the footwalk, cast your eyes in the opposite direction, where a portly female, considerably in the wane of life, with a prayer book in her hand, is proceeding to yonder church. She has the placid mien of settled widowhood. Her regrets have either died away or have become so essential to her heart that they would be poorly exchanged for joy. Just as the lean man and well-conditioned woman are passing, a slight obstruction occurs and brings these two figures directly in contact. Their hands touch. The pressure of the crowd forces her bosom against his shoulder. They stand face to face, staring into each other's eyes. After a 10-year separation, thus Wakefield meets his wife. The throng eddies away and carries them asunder. The sober widow, resuming her former pace, proceeds to church, but pauses in the portal and throws a perplexed glance along the street. She passes in, however, opening her prayer book as she goes. And the man, with so wild a face that busy and selfish London stands to gaze after him as he hurries to his lodgings, he bolts the door and throws himself upon the bed. The latent feelings of years break out. His feeble mind acquires a brief energy from their strength. All the miserable strangeness of his life is revealed to him at a glance, and he cries out passionately, "Wakefield, Wakefield, you are mad!" Perhaps he was so. The singularity of his situation must have so molded him to itself that, considered in regard to his fellow creatures and the business of life, he could not be said to possess his right mind. He had contrived, or rather, he had happened, to dissever himself from the world, to vanish, to give up his place and privileges with living men without being admitted among the dead. The life of a hermit is now as parallel to his. He was in the bustle of the city as of old, but the crowd swept by and saw him not. He was, we may figuratively say, always beside his wife and at his hearth, yet must never feel the warmth of the one nor the affection of the other. It was Wakefield's unprecedented fate to retain his original share of human sympathies and to be still involved in human interests, while he had lost his reciprocal influence on them. It would be a most curious speculation to trace out the effect of such circumstances on his heart and intellect separately and in unison. Yet, changed as he would seldom be conscious of it, but deem himself the same man as ever. Glimpses of the truth, indeed, would come, but only for a moment. And still he would keep saying, "I shall soon go back," nor reflect that he had been saying so for 20 years. I conceive also that these 20 years would appear in the retrospect scarcely longer than the week to which Wakefield had at first limited his absence. It's probably true. He would look on the affair as no more than an interlude in the main business of his life. When, after a little while more, he should deem it time to re-enter his parlor, his wife would clap her hands for joy on beholding the middle-aged Mr. Wakefield. Alas, what a mistake! Would time but await the close of our favorite follies, we should be young men, all of us, until doomsday. One evening, okay, hold on. We're getting to the end. I need a drink. Yeah, hot chocolate. You're a grown up. You can have wine. All right. Here we go. One evening, in the 20th year since he vanished, Wakefield is taking his customary walk toward the dwelling which he still calls his own. It is a gusty night of autumn, with frequent showers that patter down upon the pavement and are gone before a man can put up his umbrella. Pausing near the house, Wakefield discerns through the parlor windows of the second floor the red glow and the glimmer and fitful flash of a comfortable fire. On the ceiling appears a grotesque shadow of good Mrs. Wakefield. The cap, the nose and chin, and the broad waist form an admirable caricature, which dances, moreover, with the up-flickering and down-sinking blaze, almost too merrily for the shade of an elderly widow. At this instant, a shower chances to fall, and is driven by the unmannerly gust full into Wakefield's face and bosom. He is quite penetrated with its autumnal chill. Shall he stand wet and shivering here, when his own hearth has a good fire to warm him, and his own wife will run to fetch the gray coat and small clothes which doubtless she has kept carefully in the closet of their bedchamber? No, Wakefield is no such fool. He ascends the steps, heavily, for 20 years have stiffened his legs since he came down, but he knows it not. Stay, Wakefield. Would you go to the sole home that has left you? Then step into your grave. The door opens. As he passes in, we have a parting glimpse of his visage and recognize the crafty smile which has been the precursor of the little joke that has ever since been playing at his wife's expense. How unmercifully has he quizzed the poor woman. Well, a good night's rest to Wakefield. This happy event, supposing it to be such, could only have occurred at an unpremeditated moment. We will not follow our friend across the threshold. He has left us much food for thought, a portion of which shall lend its wisdom to a moral and be shaped into a figure. Amid the seeming confusion of our mysterious world, individuals are so nicely adjusted to a system, and systems to one another, and to a whole, that by stepping aside for a moment, a man exposes himself to a fearful risk of losing his place forever. Like Wakefield, he may become, as it were, the outcast of the universe. So, like our narrator, I'll leave you to take your own moral from the story. Mull it over. Are you an outcast in the universe? It's always such a bad thing. I don't know. I know I'd like to take a week. But in all truth, after 3 days, I'd be like, I want to go home. All my stuff's here. I like my stuff. And my people visit me here. Although, I could probably make it longer than 3 days in Kendall. I'm just saying. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the story tonight. If you are still here, it wasn't very long tonight. Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could. Oh, I wouldn't even have to get up off the couch. And then you'd be all by your lonesome. But listen. Your auntie will baby me. And that would be great. And we'll go from like a Thursday to a Thursday so we can have a reading at Karen's again. You guys, you have to go back and see some of the old videos. I am fairly certain they were here. I'm fairly certain they're here somewhere. And if I can find them, I will put them in the comments here. But there were at least 2 of our on the road Saturdays that were at my sister's house. Because she's awesome and let me do it there in her kitchen. But next week, we will be here. I know it is Thanksgiving Eve, but I'm not doing my Thanksgiving until Friday. So, yeah, I'm still going to be here Wednesday night. If you're prepping food Wednesday night, tune in. I'll read a story and we'll just keep you guys motivated. And we'll talk a little bit more about the things that you are thankful for. Put them in the comments here. I'll pull them up and we'll talk about it next week. And it could, please find the most random thing in your life that you are grateful for and put it in the comments here. Because I love random stuff and I love things that just, the little things that make us happy. Just the little things. Maybe it is the person at your morning drive-through place who, even if you don't do a mobile order, they know your voice when you order. and everything is just perfect. And the days that that person is gone, your breakfast just isn't as good, or your coffee isn't just quite right. But that person, yeah. Or maybe it is, the way every morning the sun hits your horizon, like wherever your front room faces. Um, but yeah, put those little things. Put those things in the comments here. Let's share gratitude for our weirdness. We all have a little. We all have the little random things. Maybe it is Reese's Puff cereal. Maybe that is your I'm grateful that I have found something that just makes me happy. That's what we need to be grateful for. I don't know. Now I'm just getting all philosophical. When my damn scripts make sense. Yes, you can be grateful for that. Yes. Hot honey and pickles. Okay. I have Jax. Okay. I might have to send this to your campus. I can find another bottle of it. I might have to send it to you. Just because I want you to open it at work. Anyway, you guys, again, thank you to we have sponsors, Foxington Manor and Trail Boss Ministries. Thank you guys for sponsoring. If you want to sponsor, the easiest way is to find me stories, because I'll do this every week, but I need stories to read. If there's a novel, we'll do it in chapters. I'm good. We've done it before. I like it. It leaves a little bit of suspense to have just a couple, 3 chapters every week. So yeah, we can do that too. We are just a few weeks until the new year. This has been an amazing, amazing thing. So, again, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for watching this later. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, all of the YouTube things. Share it on Facebook, please. Instagram, wherever. Take a little piece out of this and make it a TikTok. I don't know. Let's just get it out there. Let's get a lot of people with us on Wednesdays. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And bye, Heidi. Bye, guys.